Flirting with death at over 100 miles an hour on the curve.
Well, I'm awfully glad that we won the race.
He's on it.
You just don't know what Indy means.
Have you been to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway when it's dark and still? Sometimes you hear something. A whisper from the shadows, echoing softly through the cool air, trailing away down the straightaway and into the turn. In that sound is the history of the place. Every driver who ever competed, every car that ever ran, every person who ever thrilled to the challenge of man and machine against the gods of speed. This is no mere racetrack. This is a temple. This is the most hallowed ground in motorsports. This is Indy. And, as said by Tony George, its spirit touches all who enter. It is the spirit of history, memory, tradition. It is in the vehicles, the boxy, early racers with their skinny tires, the roadsters, brawny cars driven by brawny men, the exciting rear-engine cars pioneered in the 1960s, today's cars, darts on wheels with jet fighter profiles, the sound, engines roaring past, announcements ringing through the PA system, voices describing the races to a worldwide radio audience with eloquence unmatched in broadcasting.
Now stay tuned for the greatest spectacle in racing.
The drivers, whose names still bring inspiration to Gasoline Alley, whose triumphs are recorded forever in books and on trophies. At Indianapolis, triumph and heartbreak live side by side. With every thrilling start, every watch through your fingers pass, every duel to the finish, comes the chance that a life, a friend, a hero will be lost. But their souls live on in the greater spirit of this magnificent place, the spirit that brings us back year after year, through the tunnel and into the light, to stare in amazement at its sheer enormity. It sends the electric current of anticipation through the air as we find our seats. It makes us all Hoosiers as we sing together. It gives us the goosebumps that ripple from the first roar of the engines through the world's fastest flying start. And then again, 500 miles later, as the checkered flag snaps to attention, ready to salute a new winner. This is the spirit of the Speedway. The spirit that touches all who enter. The spirit that swells our hearts and quickens our pulses when we hear the most thrilling call to action in all of sport.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines!
Hello and welcome back to qualifying day here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I'm Daniel Morris. Qualifying for the main game may be over, but we're now just minutes away from the first ever F2RWRS FedEx 100. And now, while we wait, here are the qualifying highlights from yesterday's session. The one-lap dash began with the two Kit Kat cars. Tony Opry was the first car on track, and he set a time which would prove enough to be fifth on the grid. Kentucky Shinoda took the provisional pole, but it was yet to be seen whether his time would stand the test. Next up were the two Rising Ashes cars, and they were struggling massively. Tanner Jason, the American, only ended up 19th on the grid. Nico Bellic only managed 11th. Dave Anderson, another local American, will start 20th on the grid with the poor showing for the Simpson team. Andrea Kremnicki will be 14th on the grid, again another disappointment. Teammate Alessandro Marcheski will be 8th for the race. The Hydrox were quick all weekend, with Johannes Rooker proving the surprise of the qualifying session, putting his car second on the grid after being disappointing in pre-season testing. Teammate Anton Bosovic, the younger brother of Mirko Bosovic, also was competitive in the Hydrox car, and he will start 7th for today's race. His time was initially good enough to put him on the second row of the grid.
Second row, well done.
Roscoe Ventini in the Falcaros immediately eclipsed that time, putting in provisional third, which would end up being fourth on the grid. His teammate Simon Morgan will start 17th for the race.
Second row, well done.
Troopers Marco Bizzarri, whilst very quick at pre-season testing, was disappointing around the speedways. He was only 10th for the race. Marie Simon, meanwhile, in the MRT, was very solid on her lap and will start 6th for the race. Teammate Mitchell Macklin, on the other hand, was another relative disappointment. Another pre-season favourite, will only start 9th on the grid for the FedEx 100. Alberto Cara was a great surprise in qualifying, and he will start on the inside of the second row.
Second row, well done.
For someone who before today has been considered a qualifying specialist, Lawrence Serron was very disappointing when started well down the order for the race. George Licker, under pressure from his bosses at Holman Lines, also disappointed, although he will start on the same row as teammate Tommy Nash. The Canadian was the last car out on track. The HRT wasn't working around the speedway and he was only 15th. And Suki Shinoya will start on the pole alongside Johannes Rooker. Alberto Cara will be on the inside as the second row with Roscoe Ventini beside him. Chaconi Okri, the second of the Kit Kat cars, is in 5th, while Mary Simon will start 6th in the MRT. Anton Bosovic, younger brother of Mirko, will start 7th in the Hydrox, with Alessandro Marcheski 8th in the Aston Martin. Mitchell Macklin, the second MRT 9th, with Marco Bizzarri, favourite from pre-season testing, rounding out the top 10. Bellick and Wouter Lambergis are on row 6, with Michael Robertson starting 13th. And Andrzej Kremnicki will be the second of the Aston Martins on 14th for the grid. Row 8 is where you see both the Holden Young Lion cars, with Tommy Nash ahead of the first American in qualifying, George Licker. Sani Morgan, the Nigerian, will start 17th. Lawrence Serron, disappointing in 18th place. Tanner Jason, another disappointing qualifying performance in 19th, with Dave Anderson alongside him on the outside of row 10. On the final row we have Katrina Lopez and Dule in a Truba. Before we go to our commercial break, we would like to show a tribute to former IndyCar champion Darren Weldon, two-time Indianapolis 500 winner. He was killed in an accident at a season-ending IndyCar race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway a number of weeks ago. The F1 Rejects broadcasting team has put together a short tribute to take us out to the break.
Careful of traffic. He's got to get around the lap. Traffic. 100 years now. No! He hit the wall. Oh, just like Thomas Scheckter. Keep your foot on the gas. Dan Weldon is going to win the race.
That is unbelievable. Oh my goodness.
Weldon, after finishing second the last 2 years, wins when J.R. Hildebrand hits the wall coming out of 4, just as Scheckter did in 2000.
What a tremendous finish. And what a drive for Weldon.
there. Many people ask me why I always sign off till we meet again. Because goodbye is always so final. Goodbye, Dan Weldon.